Monday, everyone, and welcome to Make It Happen Monday. I'm Kimberly Beer, and today we're going to be talking about when good email goes to a bad place. We're going to talk about what to do about unsubscribes, bounces, and other undeliverable email. So I get a lot of questions about this in my classes, and I get a lot of people who are really concerned about unsubscribes. They don't know what to do with their bounces, and some of the undeliverable email categories really confuse them. So we're going to do a little bit of really mindful thinking about what unsubscribes and bounces and undeliverables mean, and then we're going to talk about some action steps that you can do to fix those things. So the dreaded unsubscribe. When I'm teaching a class, a lot of times the very first thing people want to know is, I'm afraid to send email out because I'm going to send too much and I'm going to over communicate and I'm going to scare away my customers. That usually is one of the biggest pushbacks I get when I am talking about email marketing. And the truth of the matter is that the number one reason people unsubscribe from your list doesn't have anything to do with how often you communicate with them. It has much more to do with the relevance to their situation. I have clients who send daily emails, and because those emails are relevant to the people who are subscribed to that list, people stay on it and they open those emails. It's not 100% open rate. And I think we've talked about this in previous Make It Happen Mondays, but open rates aren't ever going to be in the 80s, 90s, or 100s unless it's a very short list with a very, very specific topic. When it comes to marketing email, a good open rate can range between 10 and 15%, or even 7 to 15%. It's not a huge number of people that are going to be opening the emails. But those people who do open them, that relevance is extremely important. And it's also extremely important when people decide to unsubscribe from an email list. After all, even if you're not reading the email as a consumer, you are seeing the email come into your inbox. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And email marketing is one of the top ways to keep your business top of mind with your clientele. Even if they're not opening and reading the emails, they're remembering who you are because they're having to delete those emails. And what happens is when they get really agitated for deleting the emails that they're not reading, that's when they start to unsubscribe. The thing is that if you want to stay, even in the people who are not opening emails top of mind and have them stay on your list, the content has to have relevance. And if they aren't opening, it's perceived relevance, but it has to have relevance. There are several reasons why your emails become irrelevant to the people that subscribe to your list. The first one is that their situation has changed. And this happens a lot. There's a lot of you out there who have businesses that you don't keep long-term clients over. Real estate agents. I speak to a lot of real estate agent groups, and I know there's a lot of them on my list that receive this Make It Happen Monday communications. If somebody's in the market to buy a home, and they're actively doing that for 6 months or a year or however it takes them to find their perfect home, once they've purchased a home, they're no longer necessarily belong on that same list. And if you keep sending them emails about buying homes, they're going to unsubscribe. Their situation has changed. Now you, as a business and a real estate agent and an email marketing guru, are going to realize that and hopefully take those people in this situation who purchased a home and move them to a list that helps them with their new home, or maybe communicates with them later about selling their home somewhere down the line. So I mean, you have to take advantage of that. But when people's situations change, there's really nothing you can do about it. If you're a local business and somebody moves, you have to understand that that is a valid and no fault reason for them to unsubscribe for your list. The other two irrelevant reasons that I've listed here are things that you can do something about, however. One of the biggest complaints that I see amongst my customers, particularly when they first come to me with email marketing challenges, is that the content that they're sending out to their email subscription list doesn't really match that lists' expectations. In other words, they didn't do a good job up front of telling the people when they signed up for the list what they were going to receive, how often they were going to receive their emails, and what that content was going to be as far as the reward for them opening the email. And finally, in this list of irrelevant reasons why as consumers find our emails irrelevant is that the content was poor or didn't provide that customer with that reward. You have to give people a reason to open your email. You can't just randomly communicate anymore. Some point in time, back when email marketing was new, we used to be able to send out just sort of random, hey, I'm here communications. That's not the case anymore. We are all having to step up our game in how we communicate with our customers and in all marketing situations. And email is definitely one of those where you do have to provide your customers with a reward for their subscription. For their time, for staying on your list, for at the very least, every time you send an email, if they don't read it, at least remembering you're there and deleting it. But for those who do open it, that they find something in there that was really worth their while. And I can bet you that if they find something in those emails that are worth their while, they'll come back and they'll read it every single time, or they'll wait list it. So when they have a moment, they can go back and read it. So make sure your content is really good and make sure the content is focused on your customers, not you. And that often means you're going to have to do a little bit more work. So the fix it is be clear on their subscription call to actions as to what the content in the emails are going to be and how often you're going to send them. And what it doesn't say here is you need to stick to that. So you need to be impeccable in your word in making sure that every email that leaves your outbox and email is in an email marketing status has really good content, and it is done upon a frequency schedule that customer is actually aware that they're going to be receiving emails. Can you every once in a while toss in an email on people? Absolutely. But if you start, let's say you've committed to sending them 2 emails a month, and then all of a sudden you start sending them 5 emails a month, that frequency jump is probably going to get a notice. They're going to be like, man, I see a lot of email from this company, and it just, I'm not sure about this. And then your unsubscribes will go up. Make sure you make your emails about your customers and not about you. In the end, I always believe you have to make sales. I'm an advocate for you as a small business owner. So in my world, I want to help you be able to make sales. And you do need calls to action. You do need to have reasons for people to come to your business. You do need to place forth reasons for them to hire you, to buy your product, to give to your nonprofit, whatever the case may be. But that needs to be focused on, that call to action needs to be focused on how it's going to benefit them. And the information or the content that you put in your email, which by the way, that's that elusive word of content again. Content can be anything. It can be text, it can be education, it can be a video, it can be a photo, it can be inspiration, it can be something that teaches them something new, something that tells them about something they may not know. All of those things are content. But whatever it is, whatever that hook is, it needs to be directly beneficial to the person that's receiving that email. When you do that, your relevance score for your customer goes up tremendously. And that means their patience level also goes up with the fact that you are marketing to them via email and that there's a really good reason for them to open those emails. And it moves from being a marketing proposition into being something that places you in a position of respect and authority, which is a great position to be in to make sales. All right, let's talk about the bouncy bounce. Bounces are one of those things that happen. There just is no way around it. Some of the reasons: people move service providers, they change their addresses, they go on vacation, they fill up their inboxes. That happens a lot. They work for companies that block spam. They mistype their email addresses on subscription forms. There are a myriad of reasons why emails bounce. So to fix it, the very first thing you need to do is you need to look at your bounce list and see if there's an obvious misspelling. A lot of bounces that I have, especially when we put new people into our list, like for example, if I teach a class and I have people sign up and then we come back and we input those people, a lot of times we've misspelled something. We misread something on their card when they filled out their address, or when they typed it into the form, they didn't do it correctly. So check the spelling first. A lot of times you can resolve errors just that way. Watch to see if the bounce resolves itself. Sometimes an internet service provider has blocked email from your email marketing service provider, or sometimes they've changed their firewall settings or something like that. And within 1 or 2 cycles, that email will start to be deliverable again. If it is not fixable, that means it's a non-existent address or it has no obvious spelling mistakes, go ahead and delete it. It's time to move on to let that go. Now, if it's a customer and it's someone obviously shouldn't have unsubscribed from your list, then go and ask them if you can get a current email address. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to understand when you ask this. Sometimes even good clients don't want to receive marketing emails. So all you need to do, if you know that person and you have meetings with them, you may ask in the meeting, hey, I noticed that your email is bouncing. Can we check on that? Because you're not getting my email communications. Sometimes they're like, hey, well, it used to be at a job I used to have, or it's my junk email address and I really just want things to go there. Don't get insulted if they just want to send you to their junk email. They're obviously a client because you're talking to them. So it's all good. Just make sure you have that conversation if you think that the bounce is a mistake. The worst that can happen is that you're just going to have to say, okay, no worries. If you need anything else, let me know. All right. So you can do that to a certain extent. Don't, however, make it a practice of if someone signs up for your list and you notice that the email is bouncing, that you call everybody on that list. That could get a little bit crazy if you have a very big list. So the unfixable suspend. If you have Constant Contact as your email service provider, email marketing service provider, there is a category there that is called suspended, and it is a new bounce category as of a year or so ago. So if you've had email or Constant Contact for a while, it can show up and you can get really confused by it. So previously, here's their response. Previously, if you were sending to an email address that was quarantined, which means that it had bounced in the past, it would bounce as non-existent. This suspended category now shows you which email addresses we, meaning Constant Contact, are preventing you from emailing because it's bounced as a non-existent once already in the last 15 days. If you continue to send to non-existent email addresses, it can hurt your sending reputation, so you will want to be careful about emailing those addresses over and over again. So basically what this is saying is that when you've sent out an email and it's come back as non-existent, so the address was already bad to begin with, Constant Contact suspends sending to those non-existent addresses because it can hurt your reputation as a sender. So here's how to fix that, because you're going to look at that and go, wait a minute, that was a really good customer. So see the bouncy bounce. You may want to call that customer and say, hey, have you changed your email address? Or is there some reason why the emails that are coming from Constant Contact are bouncing and not getting into your inbox? Sometimes it's because their ISP has changed a firewall. And for those of you who just blanked out on that, that's tech speak for saying that nobody likes spam, and because of that, there are filters from internet service providers, which is what the ISP stands for, that help keep spam away. And sometimes good email finds its way into that particular filter and gets caught. So you need to see if they're blocking Constant Contact emails, or if they have like a really super rigorous program that maybe that the person that you're trying to email could ask for a very simple setting, and then your emails would come to them without a problem. Once you've done that, you need to constant contact regarding removing that contact from quarantine. So then it'll become back to being a deliverable address, and it'll start sending emails to it. The suspended in reality is something that has been put in place to protect you. All right, spam. This is the worst that you can get. When somebody marks you as spam, this is the client saying they never subscribed to you in the first place, or you're communicating with them in a way that they do not like and do not ever want again. Most email marketing service providers will, at this point, when someone marks you as spam, they won't even let you know who that person is. And I think that in many cases, consumers don't understand what being marked as spam does to a business. I know I've been marked as spam by people who have come to classes that I know signed up for the list. And then if I don't get right on it, usually is the case, then they'll mark the email as spam. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens enough that it's worrisome for all business owners. So if it's one or two, let's not get overwhelmed with it. But if you start seeing a lot of spams, a lot of people marking you as spam, then you need to institute some things that'll really help that from happening in the future. First of all, make it really clear that people are subscribing to an email list and that they are going to get emails from you. And when they do, this is how often they're going to happen, and this is what the emails are going to contain. So make sure when people subscribe, that means when they're putting their email address in, they know what they're getting into. A lot of you offer lead magnets, which I think is great, but you need to make it clear to say you get this, whatever the lead magnet is, article, white paper, blah, 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 and in exchange for joining our email list. So you can make it prettier than that in words, but you need to make it pretty clear that that's what's going to happen. Another thing you can do to really facilitate this, especially if you don't want to scare people off from taking your lead magnet by telling them they're subscribing to an email marketing list, is that you can send them a welcome email that now really states what your email list is all about in very uncertain terms or in very certain terms, in no uncertain terms. That was where I was going with that. But it needs to state what they're signing up for, what content they can expect to receive, how often you're going to communicate, and then clear instructions on how they can unsubscribe. And what this will do is this will fend off those people who just want whatever the carrot is that you provided, and then will mark you as spam when you start communicating with them on a regular basis. It's much better that they unsubscribe at this point, take their carrot, and leave, rather than cause you and your reputation damage by marking you as spam. When you think about that, and I have some mindful little advice for you on the next slide about how to think about those folks and people who unsubscribe from your list. I'll get there in a moment. Sending consistently is really important as well. That keeps you from being marked as spam. I notice a spike in our unsubscribes and also being marked as spam if we don't consistently stay on sending out our emails on a regular basis. Now, just like the cobbler's kids don't always get the best shoes or get their shoes in the most timely manner, a lot of marketing companies like mine don't always send out our emails like we would like to be able to. And so that's a personal experience that I am relating to you. For my customers, where we do stay really consistent, their unsubscribes and their spams are really, really, really low, somewhat non-existent in the spam category. So if you're seeing spam posts or seeing people mark you as spam, go back and say, am I being consistent? Am I really sticking to what I told folks that I would do in my welcome email? All right, a little bit of mindful advice for you. Please bless and release unsubscribes, people who mark you as spam, those people who take the carrot and then immediately unsubscribe using your lead magnet. Those people, chances are they're not going to be good customers anyway. So you know what? All they're doing is they're leaving and they're making it a opening for someone who is a good customer for your business. So when it happens, don't take it personally. Just let them go. Unsubscribing is really easy for a reason, and this is why your internet's email service provider and internet service providers have made it super easy for people to unsubscribe from email marketing lists. It's because those are their clients and they want them to be happy, and you should want happy clients in your stable who are receiving your email communications. So when someone unsubscribes, it's a good thing, and just mark it up to that. Don't take it personal. Let it go, and hope that they find the perfect company to service them, or buy the perfect product, or find the best nonprofit to work with. And now there's a space open in your business for someone who is perfectly aligned with what you're doing to step in. Keeping your email list clean also helps you keep your costs on email marketing down. Most email marketing service providers charge you per contact. And so those contacts that are not receiving emails are costing you money. And the ones that are receiving them and are never going to do anything about it, that's just money that could be spent on another customer who is really interested in what you're doing. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this helps you understand and be able to institute some action steps to clean up your email marketing list, and also understand all of those things that can happen when your email goes to a bad place. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next Monday.